Hi, my name is Kasia and it's my 5th video on this channel, so I'm not gonna pretend like I have a special greeting like all the proper YouTubers do, but if you have seen any of my previous videos, you may notice I look a little bit different today, and that's because I wear less makeup today. You see, I've been accused of trying to look prettier for my English-speaking audience than I usually do on my Polish channel. There's this weird stigma around local YouTubers trying to make it on the international scene, and I don't want to look like a tryhard. So look, today I'm not even trying. It's all jokes, of course, I just didn't have time. And I hate my country. You don't deserve me in my prettiest makeup. I'll put some glitter on when you legalize gay marriage and abortion.
This part was brought to you by satire. I do love my country, I love pierogi, I love my fellow Polaki. Please, please, please don't cancel me.
So anyways, royals. Who are they and why should we care in the year of 2024? In general, as a society, we agreed a long time ago that feudalism is a pretty bad way to run things. But some countries still like to keep their royals as pets, like some of those horribly inbred bulldogs that can barely breathe yet still act like they own the place. Nothing wrong with putting people in representative positions based on nothing but tradition, right? It's not like some of them may turn out to be terrible, terrible people. At least that way we give society some new characters to obsess over in a way that feels somehow superior to regular celebrity gossip. There are some serious people right now on television acting like they care who enters the car first or who doesn't wear pantyhose. Some of them even claim it's their profession to analyze the protocol, like it's not just a bunch of silly games invented hundreds of years ago so the idol class can pretend like they're actually doing something. What's the worst thing Megs has done? Without a doubt, Meghan Markle marching in front of soldiers as a civilian who never served, while wearing an inappropriate sloppy outfit is the worst thing she's ever done. Enraging, disgusting, trash. That was awful. Why did anyone let her do that? Let her do what? Walk in an inappropriate order? What were they supposed to do? Tackle her to the ground to prevent this? I just cannot fathom there are people who seriously care about this stuff. This cannot be healthy. It must be a peaceful, happy 42nd birthday for the Prince of Wales without his bratty brother and that one's narcissistic wife. So handsome, and debonair, and regal, and dignified. And born to a family that married their cousins for generations. These ladies cannot be serious, right? Are they okay? Oh, they're just old. Anyway, while some of those forced into the royal status since birth and without their consent are now trying to renounce it, others are trying to manufacture it for themselves. Such is the case of Lara Cosima, or Countess Maria Lara Cosima Henkel von Donnersmarck, a model, influencer, and an intern at Dior. She gained followers on TikTok and Instagram by showing off her luxurious lifestyle, with the culmination at Le Bal des Débutants in Paris in 2023. Lara does not use her title officially, but creating an aura of aristocracy around her seems to be the core of her personal brand. She lives and creates TikToks in what looks like a palace. She wears gorgeous ball gowns, not to mention being presented by your father at the debutante ball where you waltz with other socialites wearing tiara, gives off very much royal vibes. The debutante balls started in England in 1780 and were a way to introduce young women from aristocratic families to suitable bachelors and to the social life of the elites in general. The presentation of debutantes at Buckingham Palace was discontinued by Queen Elizabeth II in 1958 as a part of the modernization of the monarchy. But the tradition was revived all over the world in many forms, with Americans having an especially soft spot for it for some reason. The criteria for invitation to the one in Paris include an attractive appearance, whatever that means, intelligence, no idea how they measure that, and of course, famous or influential parents, like Lara Cosima's father, film director Florian Heckel von Donnersmarck. No wonder Lara's fans started to gain interest in her background, and that's when it all backfired. People started falsely accusing her family of helping the Nazis in the invasion of Poland in the World War II. But they got the wrong Donnersmarcks. Lara stated very firmly that her wealth was not accumulated by her relatives pillaging Poland. It's all thanks to her father's career as a brilliant filmmaker. So relax, guys, she's not a Nazi princess. Just a regular Nepo baby. But that's the whole problem with cultivating the idea of aristocracy in general, I guess. If you claim the benefits coming with your family name, be prepared to also be associated with their wrongdoings. And the farther you're able to dig into your family tree, the higher risk of finding some very wrongdoings, even if they didn't help invade Poland. So Lara was merely cosplaying as a modern aristocrat, but let's now focus on people who went full-on LARP mode. Stefanochettic, or His Imperial Royal Highness Stefan Chernetic, Hereditary Prince of Montenegro, Serbia and Albania, spent years trolling various celebrities, businessmen, and government officials with his made-up titles. All noble titles are made up, of course, and that's exactly why Stefano was able to confuse so many people for so long. His Royal Highness has an official Facebook fan page, an Instagram, and an adorable little website with Montenegrin anthem playing in the background. His coats of arms look conveniently similar to the official coats of arms of Montenegro, which helped Stefano look like an actual diplomat, with license plates, documents, and stamps resembling those of Montenegrin embassy officials. As a prince, he began handing out knighthoods left and right. In 2015, for example, he made Pamela Anderson a Countess of Giglio. Photos like this with various celebrities, business people, and actual royals helped him gain more credibility and squeeze in favor into the high-class society. He received a medal from the President of Italy for promoting Balkan culture, and he somehow ended up shaking hands with the President of Montenegro at the National Day reception in the Blue Palace in Cetinje. He also routinely tries to not pay for stuff, sending, for example, his hotel bill from a luxury resort in Italy to the Macedonian embassy. This time, however, it did not work, with the embassy replying, quote, "Don't send us bills. We don't have a prince, and we certainly don't share him with Montenegro." Local Italian authorities did charge Stefano with fraud at some point, but he was recently acquitted by the Court of Turin, which concluded his actions were misleading but not fraudulent. He never claimed per se to represent the government of Montenegro. The certificates and awards he handed out to people were issued by him and him alone, and should be treated as souvenirs. How was this possible to keep up this charade for so long? Let's look at the National Day reception as an example. Stefano himself claims that he simply asked if he could enter, introducing himself as a Prince of Montenegro, of course. And they said, "Sure, go ahead." For me, it seems like a highly possible scenario. It's nearly impossible to keep up with European dynasties with all their titles and hierarchies. I wouldn't expect a random person working at the entrance to know every certified noble, and considering the possibility of causing a diplomatic crisis, I would also just rather let the man in than argue over the legitimacy of his claim. Fake honors and titles are one thing, but what about fake IDs? Because apparently you can get one from this Polish Count Jan Zbigniew Potocki. He claims to be a descendant of one of the most prominent Polish noble families, although other descendants strongly disagree with his claim. I couldn't care less. We here in Poland have officially gave up on the whole concept of nobility more than 100 years ago, and I personally love that for us. What's more interesting is that Potocki not only claims to be a count, but also the actual president of Poland. You see, during the Nazi and then Soviet occupation, we had this thing called the government in exile, and in some special cases, its president could directly appoint his successor. So Jan claims that this guy was appointed personally by the last president in exile. It just so happens there was no one around to confirm this. And this guy then appointed Jan. So now we have this House of the Dragon type situation, except nobody takes Potocki's claim seriously, except for a small group of devoted and delusional followers who go as far as to buy fake documents issued by their one true president and use them as if they're real. Here's a video of the Count himself arguing with police who dared to question the legitimacy of his IDs. As a self-proclaimed successor of the government in exile, Potocki does not accept any political decisions made after 1935, so he claims, for example, that we are still at war with Japan, which he would like to officially resolve. He does not intend, however, to end the war with Germany, despite desperate pleas from another impersonator, a guy who claims to be the rightful ruler of the Third Reich. Yes, we got a full-on historical alternative universe RPG going on here. And just to make things even more insane, Potocki is also known for saying that the Jewish settlers are invading Poland to steal our rich iron reserves, which they need to protect themselves from the shifting of the Earth's magnetic pole. Oh, and he also said that there's a secret fortress in Kraków where they breed cat-human hybrids. I guess that's where our famous cat boys come from. But let's bring a little bit more feminine energy into the scene. Meet Angelika Jarosławska-Sapiecha, or Princess Angelika Ewa Jarosławska-Tarkowska-Sapiecha. Before she became a princess, she was a weather girl in a local TV station, then a businesswoman with strange ties to certain right-wing politicians. In 2019, she married Egon Sapiecha. I know, it's House of the Dragon all over the place. Anyway, Egon is an actual descendant of Polish nobles, so since the wedding, Angelica uses the title princess, despite the fact that, and I already said that, we do not give nor recognize any noble titles in Poland. And despite the fact that Egon filed for divorce almost immediately. Doesn't matter, once she got his surname, she started milking the hell out of the new princess persona. Not only the aesthetic, and she loves the aesthetic, but also the fake prestige that came with the fake title. Her business ties in combination with the aura of nobility opened a lot of doors for Angelica. Just like Stefano, Angelica started handing out titles, medals, and awards. She even got recognized as peace ambassador by the Soldiers of Peace International Association, which I have never heard of before, but which apparently sounds official enough for Angelica to put all over her social media. She also managed to create a small diplomatic crisis of her own. You go, girl boss. When she suddenly appeared as a speaker at the Economical Forum in Crimea, former Ukrainian territory currently under Russian occupation. The problem is, there is no way she could get there legally. She also claimed to be representing the Polish government there, seemingly legitimizing Russian annexation of Crimea, which Poland does not recognize. I don't blame you if you got confused. Princess Angelika's whole career is very confusing, and I didn't even get to her underground resistance movement or her schemes with Ukrainian Colonel General Heinrich Kostelny. Plot twist, there is no such rank in Ukrainian military as Colonel General. That's another imposter. So before I lose your attention to an AI summary of Grey's Anatomy's episode on a split screen with Subway Surfer gameplay, let's focus on something less serious and more fun, like Princess Angelica's infamous 30th birthday. Like I mentioned before, Angelica loves the pompous royal aesthetic, and she also loves herself a lot. And this party was a perfect occasion to bring both of her passions together into a perfect kitschy disaster. But let's be honest, who wouldn't want a birthday cake with your face on a cover of Forbes magazine that titles you the Queen of Peace? But one cake may be enough for a peasant, not a princess. So she got a separate cake to represent each of her made-up titles. I also must admit that a tiara and a sash combo goes super hard, and we should bring it back for all social classes. But the awkwardly floating balloons and ribbons give Kinderball at McDonald's, which is kind of ruining the vibe for me. Displaying your own portrait at the entrance to your party, again, boss move. Oh, Potocki is also here. What is this, a crossover episode for con artists? But let's not be so harsh. Look, they're all having fun with their fancy outfits and crazy hats. They're laughing, giving speeches, and what is going on here? No, you don't understand. You might not know this, but Poland is an extremely ethnically homogeneous country, so at a party full of white people to have an exclusively black staff, it cannot be a coincidence, or it's extremely unlikely. Somebody there must have specifically asked for black waiters. But why? For the optics? The only optics I get from this are extremely bad. Let's keep in mind, these are people who are trying so hard to recreate rightfully dismantled social disparities. It's not that hard to imagine they would like to recreate other harmful hierarchies from the past, even if only symbolically. So, we know now that these are not just harmless cosplayers or people celebrating their heritage. Fake aristocrats, whether they do come from actual noble families or not, can easily manipulate people and institutions with the fake sense of authority. It should not be possible. It's 2024 and the idea of a prince ordering people around sounds ridiculous. But the thing is, there are still 43 countries in the world with a monarch as a head of states, 12 in Europe. With feudalism in its full bloom, it was still hard sometimes to decipher who has a claim to what title. And today, when the family trees got all so tangled up, I kinda believe Prince Stefano might have a similarly strong claim to the throne as the actual crowned prince of Montenegro. After so many generations, some famous rulers now have millions of people related to them in some way. But it doesn't matter because, after all, nobility is a social construct. There is nothing in anybody's genetic makeup that makes them more noble than anybody else. And as long as we pretend there is, people like Stefano, Jan or Angelica will take advantage of that. But maybe that's exactly what it takes for us to realize it is time to finally put the whole absurd concept to rest. This time, we may even manage to do that without the help of the good Dr. Joseph Guillotine.